Hello, and welcome back to the Western Division of the Macedonia Baptist Congress of Christian Education. This is Theresa Brewton, and she is going to do our class on parent portal and virtual education. And she's also my sister. Mwah.
Well, hello, everybody. My name is Theresa Brewton. I'm a teacher at Emerald High School at Greenwood District 50. And let me just tell you, let me acknowledge to you that these past couple of years have been something else. I think one of the biggest challenges we've all faced is the idea of helping our children learn virtually, not being at school, being at home, and trying to accomplish the tasks that were before them. That's been challenging for everybody. We're hopeful, we're prayerful that we won't have to deal with that in the future. That now that we're at school, now our job will be to try to stay on top of what's happening every day. I'm going to direct your attention to a couple of websites. I'm going to talk about what you'll find on those sites and how those sites can help you stay on top of what's going on. First of all, let me just say this. Most of our school districts today have devices that our children have and bring home and can use. And that is a wonderful tool that they have at their disposal. But at the same time, it's kind of intimidating for us as parents or grandparents to try to help them use those things. I want to help you understand what's going on virtually, what's going on with those tools that we have access to, so you can know what's happening at school. Before we look at the sites, though, let me just remind you that you and I are our kids' first teacher. You and I are the people that our kids see the most. So they take a lot of their cues about their learning from us. Let us not get in that habit of talking about how hard school is. Let's talk about how we've not gotten it yet, but it's out there for us, okay? I find sometimes that even my high school students are kind of intimidated and kind of caught up in their past successes or failures. And we need to let them know that tomorrow is a better day and that we need to apply ourselves every day to learn a little more and do a little better. When we're thinking about how we're connected to what happens at school, let me just remind you also that people at school would like to hear from you. We'd like to know what you're thinking, what's on your mind. We'd like to know if there are any questions or issues that your student has that we could try to work on at school. Before we can do that, we need to know how to contact one another. Most schools, you're not allowed to call directly and speak to a teacher during the school day. A teacher can call you back, they can email with you or whatever, but mostly they're not able to be interrupted during the actual class, during the actual teaching. So if you have a good phone number that a parent can use, that a teacher could use to make contact with you, or a good email address, that would be welcome. As a teacher myself, I know sometimes it's really hard to make contact with the people that I need to speak with. So if there's a good phone number, a good email address that can be used, everybody would appreciate that. And to get to some of those resources that are available to you, you need to have registered with your kid's school. They need to have a picture ID. They need to have a good mailing address, so you can get access to this wonderful tool we have called Parent Portal. It's part of the system that we use to keep up with grades and attendance. And it will allow you to see how well your kids are doing, and it will give you information about absences and tardies, okay? Jackie's gonna bring up the website for McCormick, and we'll talk about how to get to that place. Okay, so on the McCormick website, Jackie, can you back up and show us how you got to where you are? Okay, so on most districts' website, they'll have a department or an area that's called technology or instructional technology. And when you go to that site, when you get to that website and you open that tab, you're likely to see what we're looking at right now, which is the fact sheet from the McCord School District. And the fact sheet talks about what to do when you're having certain kinds of problems. Like I said, first of all, you got to have access. But if your device won't allow you to log in, there's login information that you and your kid needs to have. Sometimes not just the login information, but kids have forgotten their password, or their device won't come on, or they can't get their device to turn off. Some of the resources they need to use might not open. So knowing where to go on the district website to find those frequently asked questions would be a big help to you. All right. When you, let me see what Jack has got up. Oh, I see. Here we are. Okay. Let me stop right here and say that McCormick and Greenwood, that's what we're going to show because that's what we have access to. But at the same time, all of the districts around us are using the same kinds of tools. So what we talk about here could be used in Saluda, could be used in Edgefield. Okay. Just know that every district has some information already available to you to help you troubleshoot any issues you might face as you and your kid are using the devices and the technology that's available to them. Jackie, would you open the website for Greenwood for us for just a minute? You don't have to be a computer genius. You don't have to really have that much computer knowledge in order to get to these tools. So if you would do a search and open the Greenwood District webpage, on the Greenwood District webpage, they have a tab called Instructional Technology or Technology. And if you open that page, and that's the page that's on the screen right now, you can get to almost anything that you need to know to help your kid navigate the technology that they are able to bring home and use every day. Jackie, would you open the, gosh, I wish I had it in front of me, and I didn't open it. Yes, support. The support for families on the right, like second or third from the bottom. Yeah, cool. Greenwood District 50 is real fortunate. We have technology coaches at each grade level who help the kids and the teachers learn about and use the technology that's available to them. They've also made a page available to you as a parent. So you can open it, and it has frequently asked questions on it as well. Okay. All righty. And on that frequently asked questions page, one of the things you'll see is information about using Google, information about how Google Classroom works. On the elementary level, some kids are using what's called Seesaw. What they really are is there are portals, there are ways for students and teachers to get to assignments, to see work that has been set aside and planned for them. And once you open those portals, you can see what the assignments were for last week, for this week, for today. You can even see what things have been turned in or not turned in. So Google Classroom and things like Seesaw are ways for kids and teachers to be able to organize work and keep work in front of you. Another thing that you need to know that you'll find when you go to those websites, some of those sites also have a place for you to ask questions. They have a place where you can interact with the school administrator through emails, that kind of thing. So knowing that these kinds of resources are available to you right there on the school website could be helpful. Let's talk just a moment about Parent Portal. Parent Portal is the tool. It is the premier tool for knowing about attendance issues, issues with being tardy or late for school, and the place where you can see the kids' grades as they are entered by their teacher in the grade book. Now, this is important for all of us as a teacher, as a parent, because we want to be sure that children are getting credit for the work that they do and that they're doing the work that's been assigned. On the parent portal sites, and I'm sorry we can't show you those today because most of those sites are not up and available yet. They will be up and available in a few weeks, but they're not up and available right now. Once you're registered and you're able to go to those portals, you'll be able to see almost any information that you need. Let me suggest and recommend to you that if you have high school age kids, that you also allow them to have access to the password so they can also check and monitor and stay on top of their own grades. Once kids hit high school, they can do that. And it certainly gives them a clear view of where they are, what their learning is like, how well they're progressing in class, if they're doing the things that they need to do. And Parent Portal will show you them that right away. There's no reason for someone to say that they didn't know that their kids weren't passing, that they didn't know that their grades weren't good. Parent Portal is the way for you and your older, more mature kids to stay on top of their grades. Let me just caution you, though, as a teacher, if we make an assignment on Monday and the assignment is due, let's say the assignment is due by Wednesday, it's not necessary possible for every grade to be in the grade book by, let's say Thursday. But give us a few days after assignments are due, and you should be able to go to Parent Portal and see the grade that the child received on whatever the assignments were. Also on the Parent Portal, you're able to see what assignments are missing. Lots of teachers put zeros in the grade book for missing work. That is not to say that the zeros will remain, but zeros certainly lets young people and parents know that there's something that's missing. We're looking for something that we're not seeing. So make sure that you're aware of that. Once grades go in the grade book, yes, they can be changed. They can be changed. The only thing that you need to remember about that is we need to be timely in trying to get assignments turned in and make up work completed. Okay, also on the Parent Portal, you can have access to the number of absences a kid has. In South Carolina, children have to be in school a certain number of days in order to get credit for the work that they're doing at school. So we want to make sure that we don't have excessive absences. And if we do have a number of absences, particularly at the high school level, that our young people make time to make up, we call it seat time, that they're able to give back to the district those hours, that class time that they missed. A lot of young people find themselves in trouble, particularly as juniors or seniors, because they've missed so many days that even though they might have a good grade, they've not been in school long enough to get credit for those classes. So we want to make sure that we're on top of what our attendance looks like. I know most of us probably don't have to worry about it, but from time to time, young people will leave home, headed to school. And for some reason, they don't make it to school, or they go to school for a half day and find a way out of school and get on the bus and come back home. So we want to make sure that we're on top of that. And one way to stay on top of that is by staying on top of attendance in Parent Portal. At Greenwood School District 50, you get a call or an email to let you know that your child was not in a particular class for a particular day. So make sure that you're doing the best that you can to try to stay on top of those attendance kind of issues. Also, Parent Portal allows you to see tardies. Sometimes kids leave home headed to school and they don't make it in time, and they might not get credit for that first period class because of when they arrived at school. So just be aware of those kinds of things. Technology has brought us so many wonderful, positive things. Technology has allowed us to learn on our own. Technology has allowed us to experience lots of different cultures, lots of different backgrounds. but technology has also opened the door to things that might not be wholesome for our children. School districts are challenged by making technology available to young people, but also trying to keep them safe. So there are a number of things that kids might want to do at home using their Chromebooks or their tablets that they're not able to do at school because the school has those sites blocked. Okay, as a parent or guardian, you might want to ask some questions about that. What kinds of things are your children doing on their Chromebooks or on their iPads or whatever that might be detrimental to their education? The speaker who's coming on after me is going to talk a little bit more about those kinds of things, but just be aware these devices belong to the school district, and the school districts are trying to make sure that kids are only exposed to the kinds of things that will help them as they grow and progress in their education. All right, I've got a couple of more things that I want to share with you. And this is not exactly, I don't think, what Reverend Mars might have been looking for. But the more I thought about it and the more that I looked at what their expectations were, there are a couple of things that I thought that as an educator currently in the classroom that I might should share. Be aware that even though right at this moment we don't have a lot of virtual education going on, it is possible that we might have to go back to that virtual model. And if we do go back to the virtual model where kids are learning at home through Zoom or Google Meet, just be aware that what's in the background shows up on the camera. I say that because as a classroom teacher, there have been times when I've seen my kids at their background, in their location at home, and maybe somebody's walking behind the camera who's not quite fully dressed. Maybe there are conversations that are being had in the background that are then able to be heard over the Zoom or the Google Meet. Just be aware that when they're in those virtual classes and the cameras and the microphones are on, then we know what's going on in your house. I'm just saying, okay? Another thing I want to say as a teacher or as an administrator, who works with children virtually, not only can we see and hear what's happening, but it's evident to us, based on what we're trying to do, if kids are even engaged, if they're even focused or paying attention to what we're trying to do virtually. Sometimes we find that the virtual pathways are open, but the young people might not be responsive. So maybe we need to try to make sure that our young people know that when the teacher calls their name, they need to answer, they need to respond. Also, as we're thinking about, hopefully, like I said, hopefully, we're not going to have to go back to virtual learning. But in case we do, be aware that there are alternatives. If there are issues with the technology, children are not able to log in, or if they log in and it keeps spitting them out, then we have a responsibility as parents or as young people who are responsible to let our teachers or instructors know that I didn't make a conscious choice to leave class. My internet's slow or something else happened to interrupt my ability to participate fully in the virtual classes. So just be aware of those kinds of things as well. We want whatever kind of education we're doing to be positive. We want it to be helpful. We want people to be able to learn and get what they need to get. And it's hard to do when we're not engaged fully in the opportunities for learning that we have. A couple of other things before my time's up that I'd like to share with you. For the most part, I'd say that lots of the virtual learning that's happened in the past has been pretty good, particularly with the younger kids. Most of them have been on target, getting their work done, and being as attentive as they possibly can be. We recognize as educators that our attention span might not be what we like for it to be. We know that we all get distracted, we all lose focus. That is not an issue as long as we find ways to refocus ourselves. It might be necessary for kids to back off from the computer for a little bit, walk around, get a drink of water, then come back to learning. But whatever we end up doing in the future, let's be sure that we are applying ourselves, that we're asking the right questions, that if we're having issues or concerns, that we talk to someone at school. We can talk with the IT people. We can talk with the classroom teacher. We can do whatever is necessary to help our kids stay focused. The last thing I'm going to say about virtual learning and all of the technology that's available to us, remember, technology is a tool. There is nothing that's going to take the place of us studying, of us practicing, of us applying ourselves to the knowledge and the information that we're presented with. There's no amount of gaming, there's no amount of social media that can give us what we need to get. Let's try to make sure that our kids have healthy outlets to the learning that's available to us, that we as parents or guardians do our best to try to monitor and make sure that our kids are doing what they need to do, and recognize that kids are kids. We look for almost any excuse to get out of doing something that might be painful or hard. But we also know that perseverance, sticking to a task or a job, stepping away from it and coming back to it might be the keys for us being successful. I appreciate more than I can say the opportunity to work with young people, to be in the classroom, to know that I can have an impact on their lives and their futures. But I also recognize that we can't do anything at school without you at home, helping us and supporting us and being there for your young people. So again, let me remind you that Parent Portal is not available right now to everybody, but you have to be registered and in a position to use it. So when your kids are registering for school, when you go in for the orientation, make sure you get the codes that are necessary to get into Parent Portal. And then Parent Portal will open a gateway to grades, to attendance, and to any other issues that you might have that the school could help you with. Reverend Mars is going to come on. If there are any questions that I can answer specifically, I'd be happy to do so. Reverend Mars.
Okay, guys. Type in your questions, and we're going to check with the phone line to see if they have any questions.
All participants are unmuted.
Hello. Do you have any questions on the phone line for Theresa Brewton? You got any questions on Facebook, Jackie Brown? Hallelujah. Thank you so much, Miss Brewton. We appreciate you. Did such a wonderful job. I can't wait to see more people using Parent Portal. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys. Jackie's going to get our next person on the line. And while she's getting them up, I'm going to play you another song. From my list of upbeat, keep you happy songs. They're so happy to be off. They're so happy to be off camera, they don't know what to do. All right, this song is called Desperate. It is also by Lecrae, and we're going to play it until Jackie has our next person up. Try to listen to the words. It's a really great song. You might find yourself in a desperate situation.
Woke up this morning too depressed and ashamed to leave my bed. Can't stand to see my own reflection, so I hang my head. Feel like a disappointment, like the scum on
you. Thank you so much. That's what it should do.
Trying to trick me, tell me you won't forgive me, cause it's starting to get me. Jesus help me quickly. I hate the wrong I done. I know we all fall, but
Tell her I'll come back at the end to pray.
like I should be shut.
Or get him to pray.
I know it's wrong, cause by your death all my sins been dealt. But my sins been felt. I didn't want to do it, but what I wanted to, I do. I started going through it. I'm trying to open up my Bible, need to read your pages. Need your love, but my guilt has got me feeling so faithless. Help me see what grace is. Take me to the basics. Help me find my joy in you and not people in places. I see this ever before me. I turn my back on you.
You ready for me to stop, Jack?
Bring me back to you. I see this ever before me. I turn my back on you. God, take and restore me and bring me back to you. I can't believe I sinned against you. Created me a clean heart. I'm so sorry. Your mercy is what I need. I'm so desperate. I can't believe I sinned against you. Created me a clean heart. I'm so sorry. Your mercy is what I need. Have mercy on me, God, according to your steady love. Wipe away my transgressions and wash me in your blood. Create in me a clean heart, renew a right spirit. Don't hide your face from me, God. Your presence keep me near it. I'm waiting patient on you, Lord. I know you hear my cry. Restore your joy in me. For you alone I live and die. It's you I glorify, because you don't want my sacrifice. You want me broken and contrite and trusting in the Christ. I confess to you my sin and you show me mercy. I turn away from it, demonstrating that you are worthy. Over lust, over pride, over all sin. It's my affection for Jesus.
Hello and welcome back. We are about to start our last session with Reverend Adrian Wideman, Facebook and the church, privacy, posting, and phonies. We'll come back on at the end and pray. Those of you who are on the phone, I'm going to try to turn my volume up so that you can hear. And God bless you. Hey, Reverend.
Hey, how are you?
God bless you. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having us. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Turn your volume all the way up for us, and we're going to turn ours off.
Okay, my volume is up.
All right, go for it.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you again for having me. I am Dr. Adrian Wideman. I'm the pastor of the Mount Olive Baptist Church, and also I'm also have my business, the Wideman Strong Media Productions, to where I do work with two other churches of getting them successfully broadcasted online. A little bit about my background. My undergrad from Hampton University is in broadcast journalism, mass media. When COVID hit, I took the opportunity to start a business to help churches broadcast. And basically, what I do is they send me their during COVID season, they would send me their recordings. I will edit it, get it ready for Facebook or any type of social media broadcast, and then they'll play it on Sunday mornings. So they have been a great help, not only for my church, but for other churches that are trying to do it as well. So what I want to talk to you about today is basically, I did a presentation a couple of years ago and called the church's media footprint. And I want to go over a few things in that. And then I want to talk about just a few minutes about how we can be careful when we're on Facebook, when we're doing social media, when we're broadcasting, and also how we can be better at doing what we're trying to do. Because understand, we're in a season where the church has changed. The way we do worship, it has changed. If you do not have a media footprint, if your church does not have a media footprint, you are well behind the times. And so I want to help all of us, all of our churches, all those that want to try to be better at social media and broadcasting. So first of all, there are different ways to definitely leave your media footprint. There are 3 ways. There's websites, social media, and also applications or apps as we know them. And apps are kind of making their way in. Some churches do have apps where it's just like having an app on your phone. You can definitely click it and show it on your phone, but that's kind of advanced. So we're not really going into that today. Why are websites important for your church? Well, a website keeps your congregation engaged. As you know, during COVID season, if your church was not online, then you've missed your congregation. Unfortunately, I've talked to a pastor who was really against going online. And so for a whole year, the congregation didn't know anything. You don't have to show the PowerPoint. I appreciate you trying, but I'm just going to skip through a couple of things because I want to definitely leave some time over for comments, but I thank you for trying. But when the church is not engaged, again, what they will do is, what COVID has done is that I can sit at home on Sunday morning and attend 5 or 6 different worship services. I can pay my tithes. I can have worship, and I can feel like I've been to church. So if your church doesn't have a footprint in this media game, then your members are attending other churches, and 9 times out of 10, once COVID is over, they're probably going to attend the church they've been attending online if they can. So a website is one of the main ways to keep your church integrated. If you just imagine going somewhere out of town and you want to go to a church service. Well, the first thing we do is get online and search for so-and-so Baptist church. I want to go to Baptist churches in the area. What's going to pop up is that church's website. Your name of your church will come up, and they're going to start clicking on those churches. And if that church doesn't have a website, they're going to move forward. I know we've all done it. I know I do it because I want to see what that church is all about. So if your church does not have a website, we are behind the game, and I want to help you with that. A website allocates central location, which means, God forbid, if we have to shut down our churches again, we can send out the website link to our congregants, and they can go there to pay their tithes. They can go to see calendar events, programs, bulletins, anything that we have. They can go to one centralized event or one centralized website and find out what they need to do. They no longer have to call around Sister Ann or Sister Betty or call the secretary to figure out what's going on. They can go to the website and find out everything that's going on. Okay. A website introduces the public to your leadership and programs. If you have an awesome ministry at your church or an awesome pastor, awesome praise team, and a website is a way to publicize that because people want to know what does your church has to offer. And if you can't display that on Sunday mornings or throughout the week, then they're never going to know. One of the worst things I've seen, I'm not talking down to any church or anybody, but I need you guys to understand how it looks from the outside in. If I'm scrolling through Facebook or I'm looking for a church service on Sunday morning and I see someone with a flip phone trying to record their preacher or their pastor, and it's grainy, you can hardly hear it, and the word may be good, the choir may be good, but it's the presentation. And so it doesn't take a whole lot to make a good presentation on Sunday morning, but it does take some knowledge, know-how, and it's going to take a little bit of money to get you the product that you need to invest in to put out a good service on Sunday morning, or a good Bible study, or a good revival season is coming up. There's a good way to do that. Okay. A website offers a cost-effective platform. Many think, well, I got to spend thousands and thousands of dollars to have a media footprint or to have a website. That is untrue in today's time. I'm going to tell you at the end how much it will cost your church to have a website.
Hang on, we're having a technical difficulty.
Okay.
Put me on for a second. Hello, sorry, we're having a technical difficulty. Give us a second. Let's see if we can get it worked out.
Okay,
Theresa,
just let me
check
know.
Your phone. Jackie, bring him back on. Say something so we can know if your voice back.
Are we good?
Jeez.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
We lost our audio.
Just let me know. Do I need to keep talking so y'all can see if we get back?
Try taking him. Can we take him out and put him back in?
There you go.
Say something.
A,
There
B,
we
C.
go.
Are we back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Oh, no problem. You want me to just pick up where I left off?
Please.
Okay. All right. So, what else does websites do for the church? It also will allow you to, again, I talked about being cost effective. And a website now, back in the day when you needed, certain people that knew how to talk to a computer, which means HTML, those things that you needed to learn or go to school for, learn how to actually talk to the computer. Nowadays, basically, if you know how to work Windows or Microsoft Office Word, you can build a website and maintain your website. There are a couple of sites out there. In my business, I use Wix. I'll be, again, more than happy to help you out with that. But I want to see more churches, especially in our area, catch up when it comes to having a media footprint. As you look online and visit other churches, you see some of the things that they're doing. And what they're doing is really not anything expensive. They're just doing it in a way or in a manner that it looks expensive. And that's what you want to do to present. Anything we do for God, we want it to be our best. And it really hurts me to see some of the churches, especially in our area, that have great pastors, have great ministries, but their presentation on Sunday morning, on websites, on YouTube is just not the best quality. Okay. So having that website will be able to bring people to your church. I will say this, during the pandemic, we were broadcasting every Sunday, and we were getting more traffic from outside of South Carolina, from people watching us in California, people watching us overseas, and they would begin to make Mount Olive their church home. And so they were sending their tithes and they were sending their offerings to Mount Olive. Why? Because we were able to have a website that they can go to, click on a link, or they can see how to pay online. And I say that because the Bible teaches us that we should take the word of God to the uttermost parts of the world. And technology today has allowed us to do that. And not only do we need that to take it to the other parts of the most world, but now we need to take it to our own members that can't make it to church. Okay. So I want to setting up a website. I want to go over this very quickly. And then I want to talk a little bit about some of the things to look out for. The first thing you need to do to set up your website is to select a platform. What are you going to use? Is it Wix.com? Are you going to go to a professional to have them definitely build it from, the HTML, the all that, build it all the way up? Either way, if you go to a professional to do that, it's going to cost you a little bit more than going to a platform like Wix. So you need to select the platform. The second thing you need to do is select a domain name. Now, what is a domain name? When you look up Mount Olive Baptist Church, you can go to click on any website or click on any web domain and log in www.mobcsaluda.org. Okay, that'll take you to our website. The name that MOBC Saluda is our domain name. So you need to select a domain name for your church. Now, when you selected the domain name, it will let you know if that domain name has already been taken. Okay, you don't want to use the same domain name as someone else, because you want to make sure when somebody's looking for your church or looking for your ministry, they'll be able to find you. And the general rule is the shorter the domain name, the better, because you want to create something that they can remember. Then you need a hosting site. What that is there's many of you have heard of GoDaddy. There's other things out there, but you need a space to host your website. And I know I keep pushing Wix. Wix a few years ago they used to didn't host websites, but now you can get your hosting and your domain name from the same place, which is really economical and very helpful in doing that. Okay, so you select the hosting site, and then you need to build the website. Okay, a normal basic website for any community, basically, church, whether it's business, it's basically going to be the same thing. Okay, you're going to need a home page, which gives your welcome, kind of your mission statement, and why, service times, something that's going to bring people to your church. And then you will have an About Us page, maybe a vision page of what your church is all about, a staff page where you can introduce your pastor, your deacons, your leadership. And then you will definitely have a contact page. On that contact page, you want to put your address. You want to put ways that you can give online, ways you can donate, ways you can tithe. You want to have all that put to that website. So if I'm a guest or if I'm out of town and I want to go look for a church, I can click on that website and get any information I need to know. Okay. And then finally, you want to integrate your website with your social media pages. And we're going to talk a little bit about social media here in a few minutes. But the next thing with websites is having a footprint in social media. That's Facebook, Instagram. I don't see a whole lot of churches dealing with Snapchat, but there's some that do. But this is the way to go. Facebook is a quick way to access a church without going to the website. Okay. Instagram is a quick way to access a church without going to a website. Okay. Because sometimes if I'm riding in the car or if you're driving somewhere and you want to know about a church, you ain't going to have time to, look up the link and go through all that. Sometimes I just want to go through. If I'm already on Facebook, let me type in this church's name. And there you go. You got some past services on there, information about what that church is doing. And all that is integrated through your website. Okay. So if your church does not have a website, if your church is not integrated with social media, we need to talk. We need to, because I don't want, because people say, well, we don't have a huge church following. We don't have a whole lot of members. You don't need a whole lot of members. What you need is the opportunity and the basis to do to do what you have to do in order to get the word out. Okay. Basically, in 2019, a website, domain, and a host from Wix.com was about $175 per year. And of course, that fluctuates. It's been a couple of years ago. And people say, well, I can't afford a website. Well, $175 per year. That's very inexpensive to have a website that looks really good and really makes your church look good when it comes to that. Okay. Social media. Be careful when you're using Facebook or using Instagram to broadcast your church or broadcast your ministry. Make sure that when you do this, that everything that you have is protected. If you're going straight from, if you're doing Facebook Live, okay, make sure that you have somebody that is maintaining that website. At our church, we do Facebook Live, and we have somebody that's definitely sit behind that. We use an iPad to broadcast service, and that person is there making sure that everything is going right, because you never know. Facebook can kick you out. Anything can drop, so you want to make sure that somebody is manning that camera. There are certain aspects of, I know some churches are using outside filters like StreamYard or Boxcast. Those things work well as well. But the only thing to make sure that works, and this also kind of works with also as Facebook as well, is if your church is in a place where you do not have strong internet access, that will hurt you. Okay. We tried to use Boxcast a couple of years ago when they first kind of came out, which is great because you don't really need a whole lot of instruments. You just kind of plug the camera in one end, plug your microphone or have your sound into the other end. And that box is probably about that big around. And it broadcasts to all social media sites. It can broadcast through your website. But our connection wasn't strong enough for it. So that is one barrier. If your church is not in a place where it can really be strong enough to receive that signal, you're going to face some challenges. The best thing I can tell you to do for that, and this will be kind of expensive, is to invest in a iPad that has its own signal on it, that you don't need to hook it up to another signal. It has its own hotspot generated in it, and that will give you the best quality because it's not using trying to pull from another hotspot in the church. Okay, so with that being said, I need you all to understand that coming from someone who does this, who has been in this thing for a while, I really want us to step up our game as a church. To when you want to broadcast your service, let me help you, or let somebody help you. That we need to get away from live showing our services online with a flip phone. Okay. If worst case scenario, I've told another church, worst case scenario, tape the service, bring it to anybody. You don't have to bring it to me. Send it to somebody to edit it, make it look good, make it look clean, and then push it out. Because again, we want to give the best product to the people because this is of God, and we should give God our best fruit. Okay. Are there any questions? I don't know how much time I have. I didn't see how much time. How much time do I have?
Hey, you good? We're going to open up the phone line as well. So,
okay.
In case someone's on there that want to ask.
All participants are unmuted.
Anybody have any questions on the phone line? All right. Well, we're good to go. How about you pray us out?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's pray. Dear God, we thank you again for this awesome opportunity. Dear God, our prayer today is that you would give us what we need to be better than who we are. Because our focus is to be more like you. Dear God, we thank you for this opportunity, for this Congress, that we can teach and be willing to tell others how to be better, how to do better. Because we also believe that if we know better, we shall do better. The word of God teaches us that everything that we do should be done to the uplifting of your kingdom. Dear God, our prayer is that you will bless each and every one. Bless our host, dear God. Bless our president. Bless those that are doing the will of God. Our prayer again is that you will strengthen every church. Dear God, we are in uncharted waters, dear God. All of us are trying the best that we can to get the word out. Dear God, be with those churches that have reopened their doors. Dear God, as this strain continue to come back, and dear God, we know that we serve a God that is able. But dear God, we also know that we need to be smart. We need to understand that you give us doctors, you give us medicine, dear God. You give us minds to understand that we need to do what we need to do. Dear God, we thank you again for so much of what you've done. But we thank you most of all for what you will continue to do. This is our prayer. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today for the Congress of Christian Education. And on behalf of our president, President Gilchrist, and all of our officers, we just give God the glory. We thank you so much for taking time to listen in and watch. And we hope that you'll share, so that your family and friends can also benefit from the Western Division of the Macedonia Baptist Congress of Christian Education. Peace and blessings be unto you. Have a good day.